Well, welcome back everyone, and this is just a fast point that I would like to cover you to continue in the loop. Um, uh, we are talking here about the keep running total. All right, so keep running total actually it's just a special case in the loop or like a special scenario in the loop where like the accumulated, like the running total here we have like two case, not two cases, I would like to say two things that I would like to focus on. So the first is the accumulated sum. The running total is accumulated sum of numbers from each repetition. So look at this example here. It may give just a clearer picture. Okay. So, and the second one here, it is the accumulator that it's a variable which holds the running total, which is the sum in this value. In this case. So I believe that this example we have revealed it before. So it is just like typing each loop. Let me just call that notepad. So the first loop here, we are typing, we are starting by num. So at the beginning here, I'm just trying to draw the logic, how it is going to be. Now sum is equal to 0 and num equal to 1. So in the first iteration here, so this iteration can be either using the for or the while. So anyway, like in any case, we are actually using a loop. So it doesn't matter whether while or for. So while num is less than or equal to 10, so num, like sum, which is here, sum will equal to the value of sum itself, which is 0. This is in the first iteration plus 1. So this will equal to 1. So that's the first iteration. Then we increase the number. So going to the second iteration. So now sum is already 1. So sum in the second iteration will be 1 because it's already 1 in the first loop. So it is 1 plus what? 1 plus 2 because now num is 2. Okay. So sum plus sum equal to sum plus num. So 1 plus 2 will have 3. Again, in the second iteration, in the third iteration, so sum will equal to, what is now the value of sum? 3 plus what? 3 plus the value of the iteration now, the value of num here, it's a 3 now in the third iteration. So here num was 1, then num has been increased by 1 to 2, now it has been increased again by 1 to 2, and then so on and so forth. So this will equal to 6. Now sum again, this will actually continue until until number 10. So until like num will equal to 10. So that will be 6 plus what? Plus 4 will equal to 10. And so on and so forth until we have the last number. So this is actually the the logic behind this. So we have this this kind of style. It indicates that this is a running total, keep running total. It is actually, this is the speciality in it. So that we have the variable itself within, it's being added to its value, and then uh, it has its value added to the counter itself. So the value of the variable added to a counter within the loop. Yeah, of course, it should be within the loop, okay? Because if this outside the loop, it will not actually have any kind of a running total. So that's why a running total, meaning that the variable itself has to lie within the loop, and its value, it's being added to the counter, which is the sum here, okay? So the accumulator, this is the sum, the accumulator, and the running total here, as you can see, the running, the num here, it is the counter. All right, so sentinels. So this is just also another case that we have, that we can use in the for loop. In any kind of loop actually. It is actually by definition, sentinel is a value in the list is a value in the list of values that indicates the end of that list. So it has a special value that cannot be confused with that, with the correct value. So for example, we have um, minus 999, or for example, minus 1 or 0. All right, so most likely this, this kind of concept, it's used to terminate, a list of choices from the user. How? Let's just see this example here. So we define a variable here that it's called total equal to 0. All right, so here we allow the user to enter the points. I mean, like just a value. So see, in points here, of course, we have actually forgotten to define points here. So points here has to be a variable that has been defined. Let me just anyway just take this code in order to, I mean, like bring it in more practical scene. I will just copy paste it here. Okay. So with that, of course, I will need to, since we have points here, see, it's already underlined. So I need, as I mentioned to you, I need to define it. Define points. So endpoints that will define, and so meaning that I have two variables. So I will ask the user to enter the, I mean like the value of point. I mean like a value to the point. So that message should be very clear. Either that value he have to enter any number that he can be, or if you don't know what kind of, I mean like if the user doesn't know how many points I mean does he earn, he can just simply type -1. So here -1 is called the sentinel. So what does it mean again here? So this is the value that, I mean, that happens in case of like exceptional case, that the user, he just want to end that, I mean like that loop. He doesn't know what to enter, so he just enter, I mean like a value that indicates to this is an invalid. So how is this? So we take that value and take it as a counter here, and then we evaluate it with -1. As I mentioned to you, -1 here, it's the sentinel. It can be -1, can be -999, so whatever value. But of course, this value has to, how can we define the value? It has to be, of course, different from, I mean, like, it has to differ from the nature of the other values, other correct values. For example, points, of course, they cannot be in minus. Points cannot be like in minus, for example, 1000, because most likely points is just like a kind of a data that has to be in a positive. Can be 1, 2, 3, 4, 10, 20. Okay, so these kind of data, or like these kind of values, of course, they are the correct values. All right, so while this is a loop, as long as points is not equal to -1, which is a sentinel, then do me that. Total will equal to total plus point. So this is again a running total. If you, I mean, like a running total situation or a statement here, we add total to points, whatever the total value is, we add it to points, and then we again prompt the user to enter the earn points. So this is the style actually. If you remember this kind of style, we use it into the user input validation, right? So whenever we have the, I mean like we have the loop, and then inside the loop we prompt the user to enter the value if in case he have entered wrong numbers. All right. So if we have entered wrong numbers, so we activate this. But in this case, Sentinels, if the user doesn't actually know what to enter, okay? So let's just run this code to have more practical reflection. Run. All right, so I could run actually, I mean like I could type 5, for example. So here, enter the earn point. So it will keep pausing me again. I mean like it keep imposing me to run, I mean like to enter values. So these are all correct values. So if I have entered, if I don't know, let's say I have came to the point that I don't know what is the value. So if I have written -1, that's it. So if I don't know what is the value that I'm going to enter, so this is kind of an endless loop. Okay, so this is how it differs from the input validation loop, if you remember that. So of course we have the user, I mean like the user have to enter a value here within the loop, but for this case the user is entering the value that it's correct so that the loop is running. So it is actually the way opposite. So in the input validation, the user must write an incorrect value to exit the loop. Okay, or sorry, to execute the, I mean like the loop. Okay, so this is the, I mean like the kind of the, I mean like the sentinel. All right, so let me just because I want you to know what is the difference between that the sentinel form, or like how to write the sentinel form of code, and the input validation. I will now convert this to be, since that you have already know what is a sentinel and you have expected what is the code, I will just convert this to be as an input validation. So if points here, for example, if points, let's say I want the user points, as you remember here, to be more than 0 or more than -1. Let's, yeah, more than -1. Let's just take the same controller here. So in order to to create an input validation here, that condition we have said that it has to be what? It has to be the way opposite. It has to be opposing what we want to be in the correct. So if I want the user to enter, the correct answer for the user is to enter any value for that point to be greater than 0. So here I have to enter, I have to create that condition to be less than 0. Less than, if the points is less than or equal 1. So this will indicate, so any value here, this condition, it will come true if the user have entered a wrong value. Okay, so now this is the way opposite. So before that, the sentinel here, it is just that if the user only don't know what to do, he will just simply enter that value. That's why we have equalization. So sentinels, we cannot actually write a greater than or equal than, or less than. So it can be only written as like this, not equal. All right, so this is for sentinel. So now to convert it into an input validation, it has to be less than. So if points happen to be less than or equal -1, then do me that. So of course we do not want to calculate total, because here the first thing that we will show the user is that you have entered a wrong value. Okay, so instead of this statement, we'll tell the user you enter a wrong value, re-enter it again. I will just delete the rest of the code here because I don't need it. Okay, so and then exactly I will use the same, a wrong value for points, of course. Wrong point value. See, if we run this code now, of course it has to be changed. You see, we have forgotten to change this even. So even we have to prompt the user properly. The user have to know what he should, he should have a meaningful sentence. Let me just do that before, before executing or testing the code. So here enter just the endpoint. So I do not want to prompt the user for any kind of sentinel here, or like in case of an exceptional case. So the user will just have a way to enter. So enter a value. So if the user have entered 3, that's it. So it's end. It ends. Why? It's because 3 happen here. 3 here happened to be not. It happened to be the correct value, which is the value that we are not concerning at here. This while loop, or like this loop, it's concerned about the wrong values that we. It's concerned about the values that we do not like. We do not expect the user to enter. Okay, let me just run this with a kind of an unexpected value. So the unexpected value based on the code, if the value has to be -1 or less than that, then this is a unexpected value. So -4, for example, here you can see -5, -100, again and again and again, -1500, any kind of conservative number. This is what you can see. All right. So unless the user have entered a value that has a value that makes this condition wrong, then it exits, as you can see here. So that's the difference here. Well, so let's just go back to our slides. All right, so deciding which kind of loop to use here, this is actually not not a big concern here. Whether to choose while or do while or for, but all you need to know here is that this is the most particular. Let me just this is the this kind of loop is the most exceptional loop. Why? It is just because this kind of loop differs from both for and while. So do while is different. Why? It's because this kind of loop, it is a post test, meaning that we run the code. We run the body of the loop, we execute the body of the loop, and then we evaluate. So in anyhow, as I mentioned to you before, that body of the loop has to be executed, whether or not has to be executed at least once, whether or not the loop, the condition that happens that we are evaluating is false or true. But talking about while and for, Actually, it's just a pretest loop, meaning that we are actually testing like we are evaluating the counter with the controller before we execute the body. Well, so let me just be frank with you and tell you that for loop is actually happen to be the most widely used loop here. It is because it's highly customized as we have seen here, and it's actually has a lot of details as we have gone through. But while it's being used for like a kind of, if you just want to just make a loop, like kind of like uh, any classical loop to say, okay. So we can have that kind of, like that kind of while loop. But for a loop, it's actually more customizable. If you want to create like a condition, like if you want to create a loop within a confine, meaning that within a specific range, we can use like a for loop. Okay, this will be for that will be much easier for us even to like to handle this. All right. So this is all about looping. So let me just stop with you at here before we continue in the more advanced topic in looping. And I will see you in the next tutorial. Thank you for watching, and I will see you later on.